Name drop.
We want to hear the goods.
The goods.
We want to start from the time that you were born, February 15th, 1998.
Wow.
Do you know who you share your birthday with?
All I know is Michael Jordan's birthday is a couple days after mine.
You don't
That's
know.
not. What does that mean?
That's not even. That's
All I know
dumb.
is Jesus Christ's birthday is like 6 months after mine. So
when you have relationships, when you're in relations, do they give you a Valentine's Day gift and a birthday present, or all at the same time?
Well, I love that you said relationship specifically, which is non-existent right now.
oh,
But
single
yeah.
ladies.
The ladies will be after you because
Lady.
of the show.
That's the thing for the ladies.
we're just getting into it. Well, I've always loved that whenever I say the date of my birthday, the date of my birth, people are always like, "Oh, that's the day after Valentine's
Yeah.
Day," and I'm like, "Yeah." And you know what's great is when I'm married one day, it's kind of like having two birthdays.
So you want to be married?
Yeah, I do want to be married.
Yeah.
I think it's going to take for me specifically, it's going to take somebody that is going to have to deal with a lot. I'm not an easy person, and especially now with all the stuff that I'm doing and attempting to do, and music, acting, voiceover, self-managing.
Yeah.
It's pretty nuts.
Can we dive into? Sorry,
Yeah, go
Brian.
ahead, go ahead.
Can we dive into that real quick?
We're just starting. Okay.
Because we're talking about relationships here and how difficult it is going to be for this young man to get into a relationship. I think when you write a song talking about putting a girl's toothbrush in the toilet,
Time bomb.
spoiling movies for her, I think you're kind of in a Carrie Underwood
Who was that
cheating on
about?
me situation there.
Ooh, Carrie Underwood.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Man, Chris probably racks up points in this
Oh,
game.
I get
Oh,
tons.
yeah.
I get tons.
So who was that about? That was obviously a breakup song.
Yeah, I've actually really never.
You never
it's-
said
I've never really. I think who I wrote it about probably knows it's about her,
your
and
sister.
yeah, I'm and the cat's out of the bag now. So look, live your life the way you want to live it. Just don't judge me. No, it's just one of those things where I was in a several year long relationship. I don't want to say immature. I think in some ways I was mature. In other ways I was kind of like a wall. I wasn't like, it was my way, and that was the only way that it was going to be. Which
Was
obviously,
this song about Holly?
no. But
Holly, just in case if you're listening,
I
you
told
were
I told
obviously
you that off
Greg.
the air, bro.
What's that?
I told you that off the air.
Oh yeah, I
man.
want to apologize. So
Was that the last hurricane that came through?
Yeah, which I
Hurricane
actually
Holly?
didn't even really feel. Apparently, there was I love how I'm just talking. Apparently, there was an earthquake that was
It just
going
happened.
on.
the name
We
drop
thought it was
sign,
you.
Name drop sign just came down.
Yeah.
And I-
Yeah, we missed it. We should have been on the air. But
I care so much for Chris that I actually I jumped on top of him and held
this
him down.
was weird because it was an hour before the hurricane.
So you
started.
basically made an earthquake happen just so
Yeah.
he would
Yeah.
just get a little bit closer to
Yeah.
you.
Well, he just does that.
I do that.
Like I was like,
Okay.
Brian, get off, and
I'm
then an
protective.
hour later, an earthquake hits. Like I don't know if
Protective.
he had clairvoyance or what,
Yeah.
but I think he just likes to be on top of me.
Hey man, well, if it took you an hour for him to
Yeah.
get him off of you, then
Yeah.
maybe you like it
I
too.
was struggling.
And
It
that's
took an hour for
okay,
me to
you
get
know?
him off.
I was struggling. I was struggling.
Look, that says a lot, Chris.
Yeah, this
you know?
is really going down
Wait,
real fast.
let's go. Let's.
By the way, we
back-
dropped my name.
So
I never ding for Brian though. Just so
Yeah,
you know.
Brian McFayden.
Oh, dang.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay,
No,
cool.
I don't
Well, that's a
ding.
dud.
Yeah,
Try it
why-
again.
why
You
am I
gotta
using my
just
whole
use one
hand?
finger?
Yeah, you have to
One
figure
finger.
out how to.
I'm like an
It's like-
all-in
let's
kind of
see.
guy.
There you go.
Ooh.
Thanks, man. There.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
That's kind of crappy.
All right. Well, you know.
Woman of a certain age. Can
we got an
swap
extra
those
one. Let's
bells
swap it out.
there?
Yeah.
I was gonna say insult your guest. That's
Yeah.
a good way. That
That's
was
how
kinda
we start
crafty.
every show.
I got two.
Oh,
names.
that's
yeah.
better. There we go. Let's start it over.
Yeah. Hi. So what's your name?
So the song "Time Bomb," which is a fantastic song.
Thank you. Thank
Jamming
you.
out to that this morning in the gym, and Chris has been gushing about you for the last year. He's like, we got to get Zach Gordon, the guy from Diary of a Wimpy Kid, on the show. He's got so much talent.
Which is also strange to say it like that because, and I said I wanted to wait to the show to talk about how this kind of all happened.
Yeah.
Because we met at a con,
Mhm.
Pittsburgh con, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we had Pamanis after.
Yeah.
So I'm from Pittsburgh. I'm actually going there this weekend, but from Pittsburgh. And we're at this con together. And
Manis.
90s
Wait, you took me
con,
there.
Steel Con.
Can you take me there?
I did take you there.
Oh my
I took
God.
you to Pamanis.
Okay, it's not just
Pamanis.
you
Let's
two.
just keep them dinging.
I was there too.
Amazing.
And you were on vocal rest. You remember that?
I actually didn't speak to him for the first 3 days that I met him.
I thought
It
he was just
yeah,
snobby.
it was a really rough time.
It's like that Diary of a
Yeah.
Wimpy Kid. Don't watch that show. That guy's a
Yeah,
dick.
he's such a jerk.
Yeah, he just doesn't. He doesn't talk.
Yeah.
Literally. I
He's
mean,
like-
I didn't say a word
Yeah.
until
Yeah.
it was. I'll keep
Till
that
he
time
saw
short
no
and
more
sweet.
cameras were on. He's like, dude, I've been faking this all weekend. I just hate my fans, and I don't want to talk to them.
Never.
You
never.
know you got to rebuttal that one because
Yeah.
that's what's making you. But go ahead.
Never. Yeah, with the fans, I wouldn't be anything.
Right.
But no, it was a weird time where I had injured my voice and I had also injured my back. And maybe I'm aging, or this is just something I didn't think I had to deal with because I'm special. Not really. Is acid reflux. I'd
Oh,
never
yeah.
experienced such an intense case
Is that like
of
an
it.
old man thing though?
No.
I was told that it happens later in life,
Yeah.
but so I didn't think it was something that I had to deal with.
Uncle Mike had a heart attack. It started from acid reflux. But yeah,
Who
go ahead.
did?
I don't want to bring the
No,
the
no,
house
no.
down, but it's,
yeah,
my Uncle
sorry to
Mike
hear
did.
that.
He like it was like 54, I think, when he died. But he had a
Oh,
heart
he
attack.
passed
Yeah, he passed away. He had like a
of acid reflux.
Yeah,
from
he had
the-
acid reflux,
Jeez.
and then yeah, he
So
had,
don't joke around with it.
yeah.
Believe me, I'm not.
Yeah.
I actually didn't speak on and off for about 5.5 months, and it was because the information I was given by my doctors. I saw like 10 ENTs, and
yeah.
I had never had acid reflux, never had a vocal injury, and also was dealing with like my sprained back, and so it was kind of like didn't know what to attack first, didn't know what was causing what. So I thought my pain I felt in my voice was from acid reflux, but it wasn't. It turned out that like I
You
actually
just
did
can't
injure.
sing.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, that was really good.
Why
Yeah.
we're dinging you can't sing.
Yeah. Ouch. No.
So did
I-
you
I-
hurt your voice like playing softball?
Yes.
Because he did.
What? That's my hand.
Oh,
Not my voice. And by the way, let me interrupt the story here because I will tell you the whole reason this came about then was because even though you weren't talking, you came over to me and we were, you were kind of writing stuff down and drawing weird pictures, but I was like, you said I sing and I've been doing some music, and I told him, and I've told a lot of people before, normally when I'm out and somebody says, especially an actor or something that comes in and they say, "Oh, hey, I sing too. I've written some songs," is normally when I go, "Oh, here we go." Let's just and to start off with, no offense to you, but that's what I was like, "Oh, here we go." Another actor coming out. I don't like the face you're giving me right now because
I'm
it kind of, but
listening.
it looks kind of like you're angry. But
No,
let me
not
finish
at all.
because so I was like, okay, here we go. I listened to the songs and I was really blown away. Like from then on, I became, this kid can write. And that's when we were communicating, texting, whatever.
I actually showed you a song that now is finished.
Yeah.
but
Oh, I have to hear the
I
finished
played
song.
it to you, and
I-
there was no second verse, and I was like, "What do I do, Chris? Like, what advice would you have for
Mhm.
somebody outside of the vocal injury, but just like being where I'm at, and how do I get through this, and like, what would you do?"
Which was a very long game of charades, figuring out what he
Yeah.
was.
so
He's like, "Stop messing up my dance."
Wait,
bro."
how'd that last one go?
I'm like, Chris, it's not about you, okay?
Wait, what? What are we doing here?
So you met. So how did you guys start talking though? You were on vocal rest. But
Well,
how did,
what's
how,
really
how was
cool-
the conversation? How did it
When
come
we were
up?
texting.
Well, what's really cool about the convention scene, which I'm not as new to it anymore, but you really get you get flown to a place sometimes you've never been to. I hadn't been to Pittsburgh outside of like maybe a day for press back in the day. When I didn't have acid reflux. But frankly, it's so cool because you've got the talent and you've got maybe their rep, and you're all just sitting in a green room, like
Mhm.
in between. If you're lucky enough to have people that come out and
Yeah.
like say hello and hi and wait.
Who were
and-
you freaked out about during that SteelCon? Like when you were sitting in a room. I mean, obviously, besides for Chris Kirkpatrick from NSYNC.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, God, that guy's like, just get him out of here, man. Like, what is he doing here?
I
This
can't
is a
talk and he
horror
won't shut up.
convention. No,
Was Steve's on there?
no, I wish. Man, I love Steve. I frankly, whether it's like any type of speaking engagement or convention or professional engagement, I try not to do any research on anybody going at all. I don't know what it is, but I don't want to. I get excited when like people are part of music groups you've listened to or films you've enjoyed watching, and so I like to try to keep things grounded, and so I go out of my way to not do research before. So sometimes I'll go and I'll be like, I didn't even realize that guy was in that movie that I used to love watching. And man, I
Mhm.
actually wish I had done some research, because then I could have said, like, what was your thought process when you went into that scene? What were you going through? And you're like, man, dude, I didn't give a shit. I just showed
Right.
up. And then you're like, well, then you don't want to hear that answer. But
Yeah.
no, but the truth is, for that particular convention and like moving forward, I've gone out of my way to just show up, talk with people, and whatever happens, happens. And naturally, I mean, obviously, I recognized you, I knew who you were, but I mean, you both have been in this industry. You know how like fake it can be, but also through that, it's difficult to find the diamonds in the rough and the people
Mhm.
that actually you can connect on one hand to the shared passion. I feel like I'm rambling. The shared passion about art, music, acting, whatever, but like there's a deeper thing. Like, you know, when I'm excited to see you today, it has
Mhm.
nothing to do with what we've both accomplished in our lives. It's that like there's this mutual respect and understanding, and like we share maybe a similar sense of humor, and
Mhm.
like that experience alone. I mean, it's like you go on tour, maybe someone opens for you. That doesn't necessarily mean you have the relationship or the
Yeah.
camaraderie or the depth. And I feel like for whatever reason, you and I just had it. And
Yeah.
I know your kid watched Bubble Guppies too, you know,
Mhm.
which I don't hear a lot.
Which-
Wait. What
Yeah.
is
Shout out
bubble guppies?
Bubble Guppies?
What is bubble guppies?
Oh,
Which, by the way, that
Wait, are
floored
you
me.
doing a voice? Is that
Yeah,
your
he
Yes.
does
voice
one
of
of
it?
the
Bubble
Yeah,
guppies?
Bubble
voice of
Guppies.
Bubble.
Okay.
Now we
Okay.
can't
I
say
feel like
that
I need to be more
anymore.
selective with my.
Yeah,
my-
bubble guppy sounds like
yeah.
a porno.
Well, we can.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it exists
Hey y'all,
somewhere
did you
out
see
there.
bubble guppies? It stars Zachary Gordon.
2 girls, 1 guppy.
Wow. Dang. Okay.
You're
That's
welcome.
a good one.
You're welcome.
Tell us about your OnlyFans.
Well, surprise everybody. Income's really tough this
We're
year, so
announcing it here
I'm branching
first.
out. Yeah.
Well, but anyways, so it's called name drop. So that's why I'm asking you about these stories, because we want to hear the interactions.
Which is
when-
also why, like, I went in and I was like, okay, Chris is going to be on the podcast. I'm going to leave it at that.
Yep.
And I'm going to figure out what's going on
Right,
Name Drop
as you
while
do
I'm
it,
there.
which is
It's
fun.
my way. I don't want to overthink. I want it to be about, you know, the connection.
That's
which
the difference.
Might be
between,
shooting myself in the foot a
That's
lot
the
of
difference
times.
between
Was-
Brian and I. Brian thinks. I'm the hammer to the knee. React.
Dang.
You know, it's interesting too. It's like when I was doing some of this research about you and everything that you've done.
And thank you, by the way, for listening to the song. It means a lot to me.
No, you're super talented. For him to gush over somebody, because Chris he's got a good bullshit detector. You know, his meter's it's always on, and if he takes
How am I
interest in-
still doing this show with you?
I don't know, but he's you said some nice things about me on TV today, by the way. Thanks, man.
I didn't think you were listening.
I know somebody told
thought
me
you were surfing the
you could-
earthquake.
But he told me about you last year, and he's like, he's somebody that I'd like to get onto the show. So I was like super excited. So I started listening to your music, and you're super talented, like really, really good. And he's like, wow, you know, this is somebody that he'd like to see, you know, go for, yeah, go.
And he played
further.
and he played a show, which, you know, I'll brag on him for a minute. It was at the Hard Rock in Orlando, and they book these shows all the time.
Yeah.
And I was
Hard
kind of
Rock.
nervous. Yeah, Hard Rock.
There we
Oh,
go.
actually, we'll give Molly, my sister, a
Yep.
big ding.
Shout out to Molly.
I was nervous
Mm-hmm.
because I went to my sister going, you know, this kid is great. I played her the music. Her and I are always playing each other crazy music that, you know, I get into some of the bands, she gets into some of the bands. And I played her your stuff, and she goes, oh my God, you know, that's great. We can get him on. So as soon as she said that, and I'd known you hadn't played any shows before, I started freaking out. Because I was like, oh my God, if Zach gets down there and there's like 3 people at the show and it's going to be like this awkward thing, whatever, the most sold out it's ever been
Really?
was his show. The standing room, they had standing room in the back, standing room only, more standing room than they've ever sold on any shows. But that's a lot. This says a lot about your music, but that also says a lot about what you've done. And so you accept that. You accept you're Wimpy Kid. You were Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I'm sure sometimes you're like, you want to try to move on and move to another chapter. But at the same time, I mean, I'm talking to you as a guy that was in a boy band, right? That just hurts when it comes out of my mouth. But you accept these things, you know where you came from, and you use it to your advantage. And the kids that would probably came to see you as the kid go away a fan of your music. Right? Is that what you kind of feel with or are you like, no, screw that?
Well, I think we all share similar parallels in that sense. I feel like I was a little bit younger when it happened for me, and so I was in my formative years.
You're going through puberty.
Yeah.
We watched you go through puberty.
which nobody
is
that
very
should
creepy.
be illegal, honestly.
I've seen
Yeah.
every one of your. I had to
Cubic-
read your books. I'm on the precipice of 50. My son is 23, by the way, and there's only been 2 times where he freaked out. One is because of Chris Kirkpatrick, not because of Chris Kirkpatrick from NSYNC,
Chip
but
Skylark.
Chip Skylark. Shout out Chip Skylark.
Oh, dude.
So he freaked out. He's like, "Wait a minute! Oh my God, I'm dead." That's Chris. He didn't give a shit about anything else other than the fact that he's Chip Skylark. Freaked
And I'm
out.
very good looking.
So I told Dane last night.
Wait. You're Chip Skylark?
You didn't know
You
this?
didn't know
Are
that?
you kidding me?
Yeah. Ding.
Dude, that's so cool.
That's like Bubble Guppies. When you told me Bubble Guppies, I was like, what?
I still can't get over Bubble Guppies.
When
Bro,
I'm feeling lonely,
shiny teeth in me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh
him.
my god.
sad
Yeah.
as I can be.
How crazy! So this is exactly what my son did. So then I tell him that Zachary Gordon's coming on the show, and he's like Greg from Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and he freaks out. So he's like, maybe wait. He's like, wait, and he's trying to be cool. He's 23 now. He's like, maybe you should ask him some questions because we used to watch all these shows. We used to watch your movies when he was little, and I still think he watches them with dates.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe it.
He goes back.
I
to,
still
we
watch
just
them.
watched Dog Days the other day.
I still watch them. I mean,
It's a
they're
testament to how, obviously I'm just a cog in a wheel and I happen to be, one of the actors in it, but we did something special with that. And,
Yeah.
it's just like what y'all did with the music and
Mhm.
like still doing. And there's no control over that. Like it just, you put your heart into something and you make it, and sometimes it hits. And when you really strike it, it lasts. How many decades are we all doing this? You know what I mean? Like it was my childhood, and it's like now more than ever, people are like, I loved your movies. I love this. And full circle on what you were saying about like being the wimpy kid and having these people show up to the show, having your son, still watch the films. There was a time where I resented it, not because the gift that it is and still isn't something that I value, but because it's hard to find your identity when not only you don't know who you are, but everyone's telling you who you are. And so I don't think it's necessarily a good thing to be called the wimpy kid when you want when you want to find a girlfriend.
well, it's
Or,
also
you know.
typecast type things, right? Like,
So
is it-
you're kind of buff. You work out. I mean, is that because of your
Yeah.
Wimpy Kid persona? You didn't want to be that kid.
I would imagine it had an
Yeah.
effect on it.
Yeah.
I think when you're young, again, it's like being known as the wimpy kid, not realizing that they're not calling you wimpy. It's the thing that like
right.
you're lucky enough to be a part of. But again, like when you don't even know what your favorite color is at that age, and then all of a sudden people are like putting you in a box.
Mm.
How did that all begin? So let's go back because now we're gonna drop some names because you've worked
Yeah.
with a lot of people, some big names. Was Wimpy Kid your first big break, or were you doing commercials prior to that?
Wimpy Kid was my first big break in the sense that like I'm literally the wimpy kid.
Yeah.
And so that was a first. But I'd acted for a couple of years prior. I'd worked with some amazing people. I mean, I love the story of how I became an actor, and I'm only pinching myself today, just whether that's God, the universe, like
God,
yeah.
shout out.
Um,
There we go.
I'm gonna have a lot of names being dropped right now, but
Let's go.
Let's go.
essentially, the idea that like how I fell into the business just doesn't happen, and essentially, I was always precocious, always had a lot of energy, and people would come up to me in the grocery store and say, "Hey," like not necessarily me because that's weird, but like my mother,
Mhm.
and say, "Hey, your kid's got so much energy," or maybe people would actually try to come up to me and
Mhm.
kidnap
I have
me.
a
I don't
van
know. Yeah.
with candy.
Actually, someone did try to kidnap me when I was 2. There's a real story about that, which
What was
kinda
his
freaks
name?
me out.
Yeah, because we got to drop that.
I don't know. Hey, did you just assume that it's a guy that
Yeah.
kidnapped me?
Yeah,
It wasn't Bill Cosby, was it?
Shout
out Bill Cosby.
I
Shout
don't know
out
if I'm gonna
Bill
ring
Cosby.
on that one.
Cosby.
But I
Did
did
he have
anyway.
Jello?
I have no idea. I can't remember. Or maybe I'm just trying to block it out. We were in the Jello aisle, actually. No, basically, people would come up to me. My mom didn't like the idea. Eventually, it stuck. Went to an acting class. Didn't like the acting class. But as auditions go, for people out there who don't know how auditions, I think, still work, is you have a representative, whether that's a manager or an agent. They have a photo of you. Casting directors say, hey, we're looking for, for example, at the time I was an 8-year-old kid, like 8-year-old kid, the son of so-and-so, full of energy, old soul in a kid's body. So I doubt that was the actual character description, but I was submitted a headshot unbeknownst to me to this casting director.
Were you in LA at this time?
Yes.
Okay.
So born and raised.
Okay.
And one of the few.
Mm.
And essentially, I went in for the audition. I didn't get the role, but they liked me so much that they wrote a part in the movie for me, which eventually got cut out. But yeah.
But you
They
still got
liked
your
you a
first
lot.
film was you were 8 years old and you didn't get to see yourself in a film.
Yeah, but like think about this, right? First
Yeah.
off, I didn't have an agent or manager, but somehow I got an audition for something, which
Mhm.
is hard enough these days for something with, a decent crew, decent cast, decent budget. Just because there's so much being made now.
What was the film called?
It was called Because I Said So, and it was with Diane Keaton and Mandy Moore.
Mandy Moore?
Yes, and I think man, I forgot who else is in it. But the kid who they cast, for whatever reason, this is fate, was out of town. And so it was Thanksgiving weekend. He was on a family vacation. And they said, hey, can this other kid fill in to play the son of, I don't know if it was Mandy Moore or someone else. But basically, I think she made music too.
Mandy Moore. As a matter of fact,
Hold on.
Mandy
He
Moore.
just said, I think
I think-
she made
You
music
got to remember,
too.
you're 26 years old. Mandy
Yeah.
Moore, when she got her fame,
She was
started-
with
her
us.
First song
She came out in the pop
was
era with
she's
us.
from Orlando. Her
Mhm.
first song was Candy, and she was 15 years old.
Mhm.
And then she became an MTV VJ.
It was Mandy
they got
Moore,
into
Brittany, Christina.
Wow.
Who else was it? Vitamin C, Pink.
Guys,
Yeah, I mean these are all. Yeah,
Yeah.
come on. Yeah, you know
Yeah,
the
I
game.
missed
a
But
lot
of
yeah,
these.
you think Mandy Moore's got a great voice. She's had a couple
Yeah.
albums. Yeah.
Which is
I haven't
crazy to
listened
see her
music, but-
now
Yeah,
on these. This Is Us.
yeah. This is how she did a great job with that.
This is how she did a great job on that. And
We
you're
wanna get her
gonna
on the
lose your
show.
hearing from
and
this.
you watch it. Oh, it's already gone by now. And you watch that.
That's why
and,
the
and
music's
I'm,
so good.
Yeah, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like,
God, I feel
that's,
old when he just
that's
said
Candy.
that. Yeah, Candy.
That's Candy Girl. You know, it's
Wow.
like it's
She was
crazy
hotter than
that-
a new set of steak knives, man. She was the cat's pajamas.
I think what just aged
did
you
you-
is a new set of steak knives.
new set of steak knives and cat's pajamas. I think all in
Do you
one.
feel like you're on the show My Two Dads or something?
Yeah.
Like-
Not at all.
I feel like you got the cheese touch.
I feel like I come from an age where like I feel like everything I say has to be like censored, and so there are things that I think like are so funny that like you're saying, and I'm like, I want to laugh at this. I don't think I'm allowed to laugh at this.
Yeah.
I'm actually like realizing
Afraid of getting
things.
canceled.
I think that's the
I
problem with your
don't know
generation.
if it's so much canceled. It's you grew up in social media. You grew up wanting to be an entertainer. This is a really interesting thing just to touch on. No, I don't want to touch on it for a while because I'm afraid it's going to come back to me somehow.
Or you
But-
might be in the Jello aisle.
Yeah, well, just the idea that like I actually have been conditioned to not say things and like not respond to things, and it's not because that's like my genuine reaction. That doesn't mean it is my genuine reaction, but like you said the thing about her being more attractive than like a new set of steak
Steak
knives.
knives.
I'm
Hotter than a
I'm
new
a
set of steak knives.
26-year-old guy.
Yeah.
I'm
You've
you know,
never had new
obviously-
steak knives.
That too, but also like I know what Mandy Moore looked like, back when what was it like when she dropped Candy?
98.
she was, that was 2000.
Well, as long as she's above the
2000.
age of 18, that's
Yeah.
what we're gonna
was
react
2000.
to. I think that's the only time I really knew of her. But I'm just saying in the sense that like I'm just analyzing the fact that you said that, and like I was like, yeah, I would agree with that. Like Mandy Moore was when I saw her on Entourage, I remember she was very attractive. But like the idea of me even saying that, it feels like even though it's totally natural, like
Zachary
it's
just
weird
made me
that I'm
feel
like,
creepy.
I know.
as
Is
can
that
be.
like?
No, no,
is
no.
that
Why-
like
Why
us
would you
going-
try to bring this down?
That's like us going.
Wow.
How about that Marilyn Monroe?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
No.
that chick was hot.
Wait,
No,
wait.
it's- no,
Marilyn
but-
Monroe before 18 or after 18?
No, I'm just
Either.
saying
When she was
like,
Norma Jean.
Norma Jean
Norma
Monroe.
Jean.
I'm saying it's,
Monroe.
I'm just acknowledging that it honestly makes me a little sad that like I feel like I'm so filtered at times. And
It
so
makes us
inhibited.
sad that you think
you
that
know?
Mandy Moore, that you can't believe Mandy Moore was a singer.
Yeah, that's so
To
sad.
be
Well, I know
honest,
she was an
that's-
actress.
But no, that's
She's
what
a
we're
singer,
sad about.
songwriter. She's got it. She's got.
Well, you know
pipes.
what? It's funny what you said that you feel like your generation kind of feels censored with everything that happens, because I think that's where you get the weird rub with our generation and the younger generation is
You can't say
our
right.
generation says all the shit because that's the way we've always done it. We were the ones that were on that merry-go-round that spun 100 miles per hour and you got your arm broken by falling off it.
100%.
The metal slides that burnt and then gave you skid marks. We grew up in this be home before the street
No
lights come on,
seatbelts.
playing in the woods. Yeah, tie with rope to tie you into a chair to get into a van, whatever. But your generation, our generation just says it, and we always get weirded out by, what do you mean censor ourselves? Like that's our life. That's the way we've lived. We were beaten as kids. Nothing wrong with that. Getting a little too deep.
Welcome
Sorry about
back
that.
welcome back to therapy. All of a sudden now
Just
Zach's
kidding.
over there crying.
Yeah.
It's like I don't even want to be a kid with this. I was just trying to talk about the show.
I'm so worried.
Mandy Moore.
Chris said he was
the abuse
beaten.
that Chris had. So okay, Diane Keaton. I have had to ask this question since you work with Diane Keaton, which is a big name. Did she wear her gloves? Was she wearing gloves? She has like this. She likes to wear gloves.
I don't
everywhere.
remember that, but I do remember her being so sweet. And again, it was almost like, look, I'm a 9-10-year-old kid. Everyone's going to be kind to me.
Yeah.
I spoke like I was an adult. I showed up. I was excited to work. And I don't think people had to worry about me too much just because I wanted to be professional.
Yeah.
And so I felt like it's almost like we just got a puppy a couple of days ago, and my family and I. And
What'd
it's
you
almost,
name your dog?
its name is Enzo, like Ferrari.
Oh, there we go.
Nice.
But basically,
Does he get the zoomies?
he does. My mom actually was telling me like, wow, he's had to go to the bathroom every 2 hours, and like he falls asleep, and then all of a sudden, boom, he's got the zoomies.
Zoomies.
Yeah,
Enzo,
And-
perfect name.
Yeah, and Enzo, zoom. Don't know why I needed to, further confirm that. I think everybody knew.
That's okay. When we do any kind of ads for this show, we're just gonna have you on there going, Enzo, zoom.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. I forgot the commercial, but yeah, I just know that she was very kind to me, and but essentially putting it back on my dog, the new puppy, is like he feels like an old man at times because he already knows how to sit. He already knows how to like shake our hand, and we've had him for 4 days, and it's pretty nuts. And so I go, that's somebody that's really smart, but then also like he gets the zoomies.
Do you think
and,
it's
like, has
a
to go to the bathroom every
autistic
2
dog?
hours?
Like
I don't know. I mean, maybe
it's a new thing.
How do they?
have no
How do you know
idea.
if they're artistic?
Not artistic, autistic.
autistic. I don't
Oh,
know.
that
I don't
makes a
think
lot of
so.
sense then.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I don't know if you're trying
So
to.
we're-
Maybe my choir director wasn't
So
saying
you
I was
don't.
artistic.
We're gonna get this. We're gonna get this straight now. So you don't like Diane Keaton or Mandy Moore because you got scrapped from the film. Now we're moving Zach Gordon.
Hey,
not
did
at
you
all.
did you learn a lot from them? Like, especially that's your first gig. Like, I can imagine you going out to it, and I know you as a person. You take things very seriously when you do it. So was it like you were on set learning, and were they helpful at all? Like, listen, this is the way it goes. This is what a side is, or this is like.
I mean,
He was
I'm
like 8.
topping into
Craft service was
8-year-old,
probably
yeah.
like their favorite thing.
Yeah, that's where I always hang. Honestly, on a lot of my shoots, people would want me to stay away from craft service because sugar is like my addiction,
Oh,
and so I'd
yeah.
always go for the candy.
Yeah.
I have no animosity towards. They have nothing to do. Like Mandy Moore and Diane Keaton have nothing to do with me getting cut out of the film.
That's
Bri-
not what I heard.
Brian's just
Uh,
upset about
That's
it.
not what I heard.
Dang. Well,
They
rebuttal.
didn't want to be upstaged
He's like
by
pissed.
you.
We brought something up that really
You
hit
struck
him.
a chord.
Yeah.
Are you trying to trigger me, man?
Yeah.
What's going on here? Yeah.
Here we go again.
No.
These millennials.
No,
Dire Wimpy Kid beats his ass.
no.
Brian McFayden's all beat up.
Beats his own ass. Yeah, no, I mean, at that point, I don't think I knew how to take anything like that personally. But what was really great about that project, even though I didn't end up in the film, all the people were like, wow, this guy, there's something cool about him. Like, let's introduce him to an agent. Let's connect him with people. So essentially, it served its purpose. I got to work with some people that I didn't realize were incredible artists, actors, name drop, whatever. But more importantly, like, it opened the door for me. And so, like, I didn't have to go to back when they used to do open casting calls for agencies to get a rep. Like, I remember there was an agency that I had seen 6 months prior. They would
What was the
Who was it?
agency?
I'm not gonna say.
Why?
Rated G.
It doesn't matter.
It's so long
ago.
It was actually.
CAA.
I'm still with them.
Was it
with
William
Voiceover.
Morris? Oh,
No.
William Morris.
Well, if
No,
you're still
no,
with
no,
them,
no,
we
no.
can research
No,
that.
no,
We're
no,
gonna
well,
find this
what
out
about-
easy.
what about a certain age?
I went to CESD, basically just to get some voiceover rep, and essentially, they had an open door where, like, I don't know, there were 50 to 100 kids that went in, and you would just like memorize this line. And there were 2 versions. One was, "Oscar Mayer makes the best bologna. I could eat it every day. Thanks, Mom." And then the other one was
pretty good.
M&Ms. M&Ms, they melt in your mouth, not in your hands, right? They just wanted to see if you had. I'm definitely done ringing that bell.
Yeah.
They wanted to see if you could act, what you would do with, like, essentially on a cold read. Basically, you get the sides that day. And I knew the Oscar Mayer one was like the better fit for me, but my mom was like, just read the Oscar Mayer one. I'm like, No, I don't want to talk about bologna. I want to talk about M&Ms. I like candy.
Mm.
So the way I delivered the line, I just, as cute as I was as a kid, I just felt like I didn't deliver it the way that I was capable. I kept saying it like, M&Ms, they melt in your mouth, not in your hands. And like, that doesn't make sense. And
Not in
so,
your
yeah,
hands?
like, why is this kid so philosophical? Like, just talk about the M&Ms, man. But basically, I didn't move forward. I didn't hold any resentment towards them. How could I? As long as I got candy at the end of the day. But then after this project, I remember I was able to go to a bunch of different agencies. The
And you got a
producers
lot of
had
Oscar Mayer
recommended me.
wieners.
Well, I don't know what you're referring to in that sense.
Did your breath smell like hot dogs?
Did my breath smell like hot dogs? Are you referring to me as a child, as a
No,
minor?
I'm just saying, like, because you probably, if you're auditioning for an Oscar Mayer commercial, your breath probably smells like hot
Do you have
dogs.
to
in
eat it?
commercial.
No, I don't think he has to eat the hot. You didn't have to
Why
eat the hot dogs.
How do you
right?
know? How do you know?
I
It's
think
not
I'm
good?
getting the gist of this podcast now.
No, just all right. Let's.
Hey man, your
let's-
music's great. By the way,
Yeah.
did your
Yeah.
breath smell like hot dogs?
Let's move because we do want to
Dude.
talk about some names again. And so from there,
We're going right
you
to
went,
Diary of a Wimpy
yeah,
Kid. Let's get
there
right
was
to it.
Diary.
I
of
can
a,
adapt. It's okay, guys.
Was it Diary of a Wimpy Kid was next?
No, I did a couple other films. I did National Treasure 2 with Nicolas Cage. He was awesome. We used to play. There's a game called Slide where basically I haven't played it since I played it with Nick Cage because once you hang out with him, it's just like all downhill from there.
Is he the coolest? Like
He was the coolest. Yeah, I actually remember.
he's still alive.
Yeah, I know he is, and he's doing amazing films.
He
Like
is.
he genuinely is such an artist. And what I love about him is he's gotten to a point where, and I don't know if he's always been this way. I don't really know him personally. But like the Nick Cage that I met is not the Nick Cage that I'm seeing now. I felt like maybe he wasn't on the straight and narrow, just in the sense that like, you go up to a set, everything's professional. He had his workout trailer. He had like a cool car, like a whole trailer just to work out. And now I feel like he's just
Let
taken-
himself go.
really, and in the most beautiful way. I mean, I feel like he's so uninhibited as an artist that like you can only get a certain level of art from being uninhibited. Like he goes from playing Dracula to he's now in a musical to I don't know, like you look at the roles that he did early on in his career, like he was, the guy who helped that girl win the lottery ticket, the romantic comedy guy with Cher. Like I just feel like
I was Moonstruck.
yeah, I mean,
we didn't share too.
yeah, Moonstruck. I just feel like it's kind of growing on me, the bell.
So what's Slide?
yeah.
I want to hear Slide.
Oh, Slide is like you kind of just like slide your hands together. It's like a game you play with like friends when I don't know, when I was in kindergarten, first grade. But he was kind enough to be like, "How do you play?" And so in between scenes, we just like I'd teach him
To make
and,
you
like,
feel
Wait, like the
comfortable.
hey,
Probably.
say my play like what Monta?
No,
what was their
Big
names?
Mac filet of fish, quarter pound of French fries, icy Coke, thick shake, Sundays, and apple pie. You deserve.
We'll do it
I
later.
don't know that one, but
Yeah,
McDonald's.
yeah. That was ours. That was our thing.
didn't stick.
What? We
Um,
could do it too.
Yeah.
That's some
Big
brilliant
Mac
marketing.
filet
Lay
of
of fish, quarter pounder French fry,
icy
icy
Coke.
Oh my God.
Thick shake.
Sunday
I
and
don't know. I
apple
made that
pie.
part up.
Wait.
I'm just waiting for the bite of me just
can't-
going.
How do I remember that though?
Just like
You
that.
didn't.
No, I do. I remember part of that
what?
though.
Muscle
I'm
memory.
I'm very skeptical of those things now because as I've gotten older, I go, oh, that was made just literally for marketing,
Right.
And like,
Oh yeah.
but like as your kid, you're like,
Well, plus
The
you guys are probably
Slurpee-
like, oh, I don't want to get COVID. Can't play
now?
that game. I don't want to get.
Did you,
COVID.
was there a point like where you were walking around as a 12-year-old? It had to have been like something pretty cool, especially with kids. You're 12 years old. You're in LA, and people are unaffected here, like because of they see a celebrity or whatever. But obviously, you probably did a lot of junkets, and you had to go to different cities to promote Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
They just
What was it
lose
like
their
being
shit.
a 12-year-old and kids just losing their shit because of you playing Greg?
Well, there's two sides to that.
Okay.
One is when I went to film the movies, I was a normal kid, and then
Mhm.
when the movies came out, all of a sudden, teachers were asking me for photographs and autographs, and my friends wanted to be closer with me, but then other
Mhm.
people that I'd never talked to hated me, like for no reason.
Really?
It was
Like jealousy, just
Mhm.
probably
yeah,
something, I
yeah.
don't know. And it was this weird thing where I felt like I moved through the world with like a mask, and the only thing I had to blame was this gift, which was Wimpy Kid. But like that was the reason why people started treating me differently, and so I
How
wasn't
about
able.
your parents? Was it they?
I mean, they humbled me. They've kept me humble my whole life, you
Mhm.
know, like they've just made me the confidence is just, hey, did you clean your room? Do the
Yeah.
dishes. Hey,
I
are you
saw that
doing
last
laundry?
audition. You sucked.
Yeah, I was like, you could have done better with that. Like
Yeah.
when I was I was rehearsing for my show, and this is really ironic. But my dad was saying, you should just sing the song straight. Like, when you're doing a cover, just sing it the way it was made. Like, people don't want to hear it differently. And so, on one hand, look, take with a grain of salt. My dad's not a music expert, but on
Right.
the other hand, he's an audience member. Maybe
Right.
let's hear what he has to say. And then I do the covers at the show. And then not only did Chris, but a couple of your friends had said, I just want to let you know the way you do those covers,
Yeah.
you just made them your own, and it really was a standout part of the show. And I looked at my dad and I was like, hey, Dad.
But na 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 na
But
na.
and you were like, come
Yeah.
on, you rehearse how you do that. I was like, no, I do
Yeah.
it differently every time, and that's probably the acting training.
Yeah.
Molding into music.
Do you think that helped you with the stage performance a lot? Like, because there is a lot of theater that goes on in music, and when you're playing a show, people like to hear the stories. They like, you're really good. If you're a good storyteller and a good musician, you're a great performer. Those two things together really make you interested. Like I said, the way you did those covers, and not to disagree with your dad, or because
I disagree with my
I
dad.
got to meet his dad and mom. Awesome.
What are their
and my
names?
brother. Linda and Ken. That's kind of you.
You were just turning as he's saying it. Ding.
I'm
like
just waiting
yeah.
for the names. Let's go.
Yeah. But that being said, it's so interesting
Yeah.
when you go to a show like that and somebody's doing a cover song, and they do it in this weird, it's the same reason that remixes and things like that are so big. You hear the cover song all the time. You want to hear somebody's interpretation of the song. You want to hear what you hear when you hear that song. And then when you play it, there's things that I hear going, man, I never thought of it like that, or I never heard that part in there, or things like that. So I think it is really cool when you do those cover songs and you do them your way, because those takes were, I wasn't just blowing smoke up your ass. They were just really cool, really interesting. But
I appreciate that.
yeah, but back to you're talking about, let's kind of forward a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't mean to change the subject.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it was just the idea that, like, being a kid and wanting to fit in, I felt like I had to wear this mask, and so I ended up presenting the thing that now I know I'm mature enough to know that, like, it is a gift. I'm sitting here with you. You tell me that your son still watches the movies. You two have bonded over them.
He got quiet on the phone. I'm like, you good? He's like, I just want to ask him some questions. I'm like, because you guys are essentially the same
By the
age.
way,
He's 3 years
Dane.
younger. Dane,
Dane,
yeah,
yeah.
Dane.
Gotta give Dane.
You should have him call me if he has any questions. We could chat sometime.
Don't freak him out.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Don't
genuinely,
freak
it's
him
like,
out.
it's so.
We can FaceTime.
Yeah,
him.
of course. Let's
Yeah,
do it.
yeah,
I was gonna say anytime. Seriously. I'm so blessed. Like,
Yeah.
it's just all these years of resentment. I think early 20s is when I started to go, whoa, like, maybe you're not worthless, which sounds interesting, but, like, you internalize, like, being wimpy as a negative thing, and, like, you think that other people's problems are your problems. That doesn't mean that, everyone has problems. I mean, we all do. I do.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
perfect. But I just mean that, like, internalizing when people hate you for no reason, like, oh, you're the wimpy kid dude, and, like, and look, life wasn't rough for me. It just felt rough. It's like we're our own worst enemies. And I just, if I had taken a step back and gone, okay, that guy just doesn't like me for whatever reason, and, like, I was chosen, and I was lucky enough to be chosen, so, like, don't take that for granted, dude. Like, we're sitting here, I hadn't met you until today, and, like, your son, in a way, like, trusts me because of the work that I've done, and, like, is interested and
I think
intrigued.
it's one of the
you
coolest
know?
gifts that you
It
can get,
is.
and I think even with Chris too, you guys both embrace that. And if you don't, you're gonna be a miserable SOB, and that's the worst part. It's like you were able to, like, so many kids were going through, especially that age. I remember watching my son. I was like, okay, this is kind of a fun show to watch with my kid. When I'm watching this movie,
You
he's
feel
12.
the awkwardness. You feel
Yeah.
like you were you're basically doing your music. You were speaking a language that millions of people want to speak or want to understand. They want to understand what they're going through, and you're explaining it by, whether it's by your music, whether it's by the Wimpy Kid, whether it's by the books, whatever it is, you're explaining your way through it. I still, to this day, if I do meet and greets, girls come up, kids come up, they're like, "You were my first concert. You mean so much to me."
By the way, at the restaurant we were at, a bunch of women just, like, mobbed you. They were like, I waited outside for days to see you.
They're like, you were my first.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, the worst thing about that is you just wait, because right now you're in the key element. You've got all these teenage girls and boys that just love you. Someday they're going to be dads and moms, and they're going to come up and be doing the same thing, and it's going to be weird because they're going to bring their kids, and their kids will be afraid of you because they didn't see the wimpy kid. They'll be like, I don't want to. They're
it's
like, no,
weird.
take a picture with him.
Yeah.
He's a big deal. He's a big deal to your mom. Take a picture.
You get old
Not that
ladies
this is
coming
like
up to
going,
you, and they're like, I grew up watching your dad, and your son goes, how old are you?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. You go to school with my grandma? No, I don't really. Oh, shout out.
Shout out
Passed away.
grandmas.
She's gone. Gone.
So
Um,
so you got to work with some heavy hitters. Like Steven Zahn's one of the funniest guys ever, and you have a kind of a connection with him. And we had Jonathan Shuck on the show from That Thing You Do.
Yeah.
Dude, I
And-
love that movie.
Yeah,
Isn't that a great
and
movie?
Obviously,
It's
you
so
got to see it.
good.
Yeah.
And Tom Everett Scott, I'm pretty sure was in the Wimpy Kid remake. I think he played the dad. In
Oh,
the
he
remake.
did.
Yeah.
The drummer.
I
Yeah.
didn't know
Shades.
that. Really?
Shades played the dad,
dad?
in the
Yeah.
remake.
Yeah.
He did. And
I've never
wasn't
spoken to him, but Steve and
was-
him are really close. I'm pretty sure that he was his best man at one of their
Steve was who
weddings.
I was in the band, by the way. I don't
Oh,
if
you
I
didn't know
ever
there was a
told you that.
video?
No.
There's That Thing You Do video.
We used to play That Thing You Do in our concerts. We did like a through the decades,
Really?
and we didn't That Thing You Do had just come out, and we
We'll send it
watched
to you on the Googles.
Yeah, we
Dude,
watched
yeah.
it, and we loved the movie so much because we were like, oh my God, that's totally
So
us.
cool.
Every one of them is totally us. So in the concert, we come out when we do 60s, even though it was a new song, we play That Thing You Do. And at the end, we unhook and run off the stage, which is like, but I was Steve Zahn. They all thought I was going to go to Vegas and get married to a stripper.
But you also got to work with Reese Witherspoon.
Oh
Vince
wow,
Vaughn?
that was 4 Christmases. Yeah.
That was you hid her pregnancy test in the movie, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was a kid basically. I think I'm credited as kid in Jump Jump or something. But
Ding, ding, ding on Kid and Jump Jump.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, I never think about these things, but
So cool.
man, I've been really blessed, man. And
What's the
more
weirdest? What's the weirdest memory that somebody's come up to you, and maybe something you haven't remembered, like a commercial or a movie role that was like real little at the time, and somebody goes, "Dude, you as boy number 36 and Oliver Twist." that
Jane
was
Fonda,
killer."
Lindsay
Number
Lohan?
32, man. Yeah, Jane Fonda, Lindsay Lohan. That was Georgia Rule, one of my first movies. Which, by the way, they were both amazing. You know what? I'll just ramble on a couple of stories to answer yours. The weirdest thing I've done things that nobody even knows. There was a video game for the
Till
Guinness.
now.
The Guinness World Records had a video game 15 years ago, and I did a commercial with the strongest man in the world, the woman with the longest fingernails, the most
Oh, that's so
flexible
creepy.
man in the world, and we did a commercial because
she
the
s-
game was you get to play as all these people. That was one thing. Also, Ringling Brothers Circus when they were around, I was cast as they used to sell a DVD at their circus. 15
This is how
years
long
ago.
ago it was.
Yeah, they used to sell a DVD at their circus.
What's that?
and,
What's a DVD?
Yeah.
DVD is like it's like a cassette tape,
Yeah.
but it's like a circle thing,
That
like
is-
a record, but a laser plays it instead of a needle. It's crazy, dude.
That's
Technology.
How do
is
they
like-
do? How do they do that?
It's like the new technology.
You put
bro.
all that on the.
Yeah, no, it's
D-
like a laser.
And you could watch it on the DVD.
No, not yet. But you
Okay.
listen to it.
You listen to it.
he
Listen
made
to-
all of that up. I'm just letting you know. None of that's true.
What?
What do you
Yeah.
mean?
DVD.
What is? Well, okay. What is
What's
the
a DVD then?
I don't know, man. I thought it was just a buzzword.
we like stream now. How old are you
I
guys?
know it's like a VHS, but a laser one. He goes, no, he's making that up.
Yeah. There will be a time where you can say that stuff, and people be like, "Oh yeah."
No, there's
that's
gonna be a
probably right."
time where you're like, man, I remember when I was on TikTok, and some kid's gonna go,
I think one of the
Grandpa was
coolest
on
things-
TikTok.
You put a bunch of Generation Z kids in and give them a rotary phone and see if they can actually call you.
There's a scene
Yeah.
in Wimpy Kid 2 where we do that.
You do?
I'm in the basement and I try to call my
yeah,
mom
yeah.
or someone, and I'm clicking it to try to like literally call somebody, and then the audience
Did they
laughs.
Did they actually have you do it first, or did
know,
you figure it out? You
I mean,
did you Google it?
I already knew how to do it. You know, it was
Oh.
like the scene, the joke is
Yeah.
like, "Oh, there's a phone,"
yeah.
and then I'm like,
Did you
Hanging
do any
out?
dating on the set? You and Holly, you guys are a number? Because you
Ooh.
Look,
wanted to marry her.
I mean, I was 12 years old, so
Yeah,
I don't
when-
know what type of dating that would
Yeah.
even mean. What I will say is, you know, naturally on any project you work on, I feel like most actors, musicians, anyone would agree with me. You know, whether you're on the road touring and you have musicians around you, whether you're on set, whether
You
in
fall in
school,
love.
you naturally form a sense of safety, camaraderie, friendship, which hopefully blossoms into something that is more than just, I don't know, what people would typically call like flings, romances. I'm that type of guy, idealistic. And so I think at that age, I didn't really know what a crush even meant, but what I can say is like my character liked her in the movie. She was one of the only girls that was in the project that was my age. We all hung out. Our families hung out. So, I mean, I'm sure at that age I formed a crush for her.
You
know,
guys are
like,
dating now,
This
right?
this sounds
Not- we're
ironically
not,
this
but-
sounds ironically similar to me and JC Chazet from my band.
Really?
Big time.
You know who
crush.
JC is, right?
No, I want to know.
He's another one he was in one of my old bands
Okay.
that we had. It was
Oh, yeah, just an old
just
band.
this old band.
Yeah.
It wasn't Chip Skylark.
Yeah. Dang.
Wasn't Unfairly Odd Parents.
So then the cat's out of the bag, and you've secretly been in a relationship this whole time.
yeah. My
Nice.
wife's not too happy about it. But
Yeah, well,
what are you gonna do?
I mean, hey,
What are you gonna do? He's got a French sounding, really cool name. So I
well,
was
the
like,
truth will
JC
set you
Chazet.
free, and, if
Yeah.
she doesn't accept that, then obviously she's not the right one for you.
You're right. You're right. I should tell her that. It's been
Who
11
need
years.
to.
Who did you enjoy working with the most?
I wouldn't even tell
out
her.
of, from all the films that you've done.
Um,
That you probably
Huh.
just had. I mean, especially as a kid. you
And
had the
and we're
best
not
time
saying
with-
pick a favorite.
for
Not
different
pick a
different
favorite, yeah.
reasons.
Okay, Jane Fonda probably.
Well, what I liked is Jane Fonda used to her dog. She loved her dog, and
Yorkie.
I forgot the name of the
Did you ever
breed.
see Barbarella?
Dude, there's so many questions you're asking me about 9-year-old Zach. Like I'm like trying to go back in the memory
9-year-old
bank, and I'm
Zach
like,
would love Barbarella.
Barbara.
Really? I'm like every time you press it, I'm just like,
Did
oh,
you-
I press it too.
Have you ever seen
Like the
Jane
sheep.
Fonda's workout videos?
I haven't, but I remember everyone wouldn't stop telling me about them. Like we were on set and they were like, she's done a lot of workout videos. She's done a lot of workout videos, and I'm like, I don't even know what a workout is. I just like I'm on set. Where's the candy?
It's on
No, the
VHS.
best is when you say it's on VHS.
VHS.
You know what I'll tell you?
Mm.
One thing you mentioned Lindsay Lohan earlier. I'll take the reins on that. Thank
Okay.
you. It was earlier on, and I mean, obviously, it was one of my first roles. Gary Marshall directed the film. It was
Oh.
called Georgia Rule. A lot of amazing people were in it. Garrett Hedlund was in that movie. I think Dermot Mulroney.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
And basically, I remember Lindsay Lohan was so sweet. Like genuinely, it was around the time where she was dealing with a lot. And by the way, that's a whole other conversation, which we just don't have enough empathy for people that are given a bunch of fame,
Mhm.
don't have good parental
When you lived it,
guides,
so you know firsthand that if
I've
you don't
seen
have
so much,
yeah.
and honestly, it makes me so angry when people just attack all these people that are in the limelight. And look, let's be real. We don't realize, I don't want to say we as I'm part of this group, but when you sign up to be an actor, a child actor, any part of the industry, you don't always think about the things that you're going to have to give up. And that could mean going out and hanging out with friends as a kid, trying to normalize, be social, socialize, be normal, and then going to lunch with friends, but then you have a call with your accountant at the age of 14. That's not
Mhm.
normal. You're like an outsider. But here's the reality is you are giving things up. And if I decided to quit acting or music today, it doesn't matter. I made that decision, and I could complain about it, which is not what I did. I just didn't understand or comprehend what choices I was making by signing up to be an actor. There are consequences, pros and cons. And so I feel like any one of us has a responsibility to, one, maintain a sense of integrity. With great power comes great responsibility, meaning, just because I can do something doesn't mean I should.
Quoting Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I mean, that's why I love that quote is, I mean,
Yeah.
I look at somebody like,
Did he just plagiarize?
That's all right.
Yeah, it's okay.
Spider-Man. What's a name drop? We can
Okay.
look,
we'll
know,
edit it out.
Okay.
Chris basically admitted he's been cheating for the last,
Yeah.
I don't know how many years,
Mhm.
I'm
With the
plagiarizing from him.
guy.
Yeah, which is okay,
Which
you know what I
a
mean?
really
It's totally
cool
fine.
guy though.
Yeah, no, I met
really
him.
cool.
That's
guy.
what matters.
We had the
Yeah.
unicorn on.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of you, Chris.
Thanks. It's a big
Um,
step.
Yeah, admitting that,
Making it.
I'm sure you'll edit that part out though, just
Completely.
but I still
There's
am
gonna be a
proud
whole scene of me just going like this.
of you. Well, you can't do the same thing too many times. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
alright,
did you
My
have a
jawline's-
did you have a crush on Lindsay Lohan?
Maybe. I think what stuck out to me the most is in between takes, I'm done. In between takes, when we were done filming scenes, we would have there's catering on set, and I remember I'd get a big piece of chocolate cake, and me and a couple of their cast members would go to her trailer and we'd watch a movie during lunch. And I remember she would be like, "Hey, don't forget to clean up your dishes after." And so I remember leaving the set going, she was a really sweet girl.
Mhm.
She had a lot of pressure and a lot of stuff going on at the time. And from my experience, she still still had a good set of, you know,
Watch it.
no, no, no. Well, no, I was trying to say moral characteristics. That wasn't what I wanted to say.
I think she has
had,
a great set of moral
yeah.
characteristics as well.
She had great morals on the set, and the only reason I'm pointing that out is because I feel like at that time everybody was coming after her, and nobody was saying, "Hey, we've got a girl," and again, it's not my place to speak on this.
She was getting bad press at that time.
A lot of bad press. It was on during the filming.
Like friction between Jane Fonda and Lindsay Lohan. There was like, you know, she was supposedly showing up late to set, and I just remember having to read about it. I was like, "Come on, Lindsay, let's get it together."
So
which again doesn't justify that, but to think that like there's people like, you know, the Biebers of the world, the Britney Spears, you know, like these people that like whatever at moments they didn't have perfect press and they're still struggling. And maybe there's a lot of mental health things that come along with that because, yeah, imagine everything you do is being criticized or scrutinized.
At a young age.
And you have no moral compass. You have no one really coming to help you, and everyone wants a piece of you. Everyone just wants to say yes to you. And so, like, where's the empathy for these people that, yes, they signed up for this and it's part of the territory, but, like, I could have gone down that road if I didn't have my parents.
I was gonna say, how did you navigate through that?
Great
how did you?
My
make
parents
it...
humbled me.
Yeah,
bro, they humbled me to this day. You know,
did they ever threaten like because you were doing? I mean, you were doing Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and you kept doing these shows. Did they ever say to you like, if you don't clean your room, you're not going to set?
No, I think they.
No, because that's the bread and butter. Yeah. That's a fake.
Did they
threat.
shake you down? Your parents.
Which by the way, my parents didn't steal money from me. We're talking about things that like people get their money stolen, mismanaged, who want to be artists and actors who don't want to do it, you know? You know, they get canceled now, they get scrutinized, you know, horrible moments are forever publicized and they follow them for the rest of their lives. Like, this is all part of the territory. And for me, I mean, not only I didn't get my money stolen, I had good people around me that made sure I didn't do stupid things and instilled good morals in me. That doesn't mean I was perfect.
Shout out Gordon's.
I'm lucky, man. Yeah. And so I feel like I got beaten down in other ways too, and beaten down as aggressive, but, you know, not unhealthy in the sense that like I said, I was at public school and people were like, "You're this, you're that," or like, you know, parents are like, "You better clean your room." And so like a lot of times my confidence really was like really low.
Did your parents beat you?
Thankfully, no.
Okay.
And
they beat me.
I'm not. My parents beat you?
Really?
At his set.
Dude, that was weird. It was like he got so drunk and he was like, "Please beat me, just right here."
Just one time.
So what? The last... you've been doing film.
Do it at the same time. I want it to be in sync.
You and Chris have so much in common, especially when it comes to like voice acting and also like
besides the
vocals.
parent thing.
I mean, you have an amazing voice. But Robot Chicken?
Oh, dude. Man, so many. I have a great story about that. It's cool as you're asking me things I haven't talked about in years, and then I go, "Holy
that's
cow,
the purpose.
that happened,
That's what we
man!
liked.
Holy crap, how cool is that?" So I was
Chicken.
Charlie Brown, Linus, and Franklin in an episode of Robot Chicken. Seth Green, who's the master behind that. I remember I went in to record, and
you were Linus?
Yeah, it was weird. I played all three of them.
Can you do the dance?
I have no idea.
Oh. Yeah. Did you have to suck your thumb? Wasn't Linus the one that sucked his thumb?
I think
blanket.
so.
He had the blanket.
You know what
with the
Seth
blanket.
Green did teach me is I remember I had
Taught you how to suck your thumb?
No.
Taught him how to suck his thumb.
No, I had to have a nasal voice for one of the characters, and so he actually, wow, I haven't talked about this probably since the day I recorded this, but like he told me to plug my nose and if I'm saying the lines this way, I'll have more of a nasally voice. I mean, now I can do that without doing that,
Right.
but just I got to work with some really cool people who showed me the ropes in a way that I didn't realize. Even until now, I'm realizing it. That taught me things that like, you know, are really invaluable. And so I remember actually the fun story is I used to go to the Universal backlot in between auditions with my mom because I had an annual pass with her. We'd be in LA and the days where you'd have 5 auditions in one day, and we'd like go on the Universal tour, and like we'd have 45 minutes to cut in.
Second person we just had, Alex was joking about the Universal tour, and now he was on the back lot. I wonder if they were like around. No, it was a little before your time, but that would have been funny to see them both chasing the tram.
I mean, that would have been sick. I always wanted to do that. It was just so magical, and then because nobody would really go to Universal, it was like there were no lines, no waits. But then
I know I worked at Universal.
Really?
In Orlando.
Yeah.
Dang. You also worked at the Outback Steakhouse.
We scared a lot of people.
way.
Yeah, we both did.
Dude, man.
We both did. That's what we have in common.
That you got to have major tenure there at this point.
No,
right?
But we
not
still
really.
work there.
Yeah,
No, but we can
that's what
still.
I mean.
It's changed.
It's changed quite a
It's
bit.
changed so much. So franchised
Yeah.
now. It's not like the old days when you got the
Boomerangs.
surfboards.
You,
the
you miss being
boomerangs.
able to harass the customers.
Totally miss being able to
I'm
harass
just
the
kidding.
customers.
Tips were amazing.
No, but I wanted to finish is you know how they have the posters on the backlot of all the movies that
Mhm.
Universal's done, and I would always see this poster for 8 Mile, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know what the movie was about, but I remember I went to record one day and Elijah Wood was there doing some Lord of the
Oh,
Rings
wow.
stuff, and I was like 10, and basically Seth Green and Elijah Wood were coming out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and Seth Green's like, hey, do you know who this guy is? And I go, yeah, you're 8 Mile. Because he looks like Eminem in that poster, and I remember Elijah Wood went and he goes, "Isn't that Eminem or something?" And I was like, "No, you're also from Lord of the Rings," which I knew and I
Right.
hadn't seen at the time. That's just how massive that film was. But
What's a good thing you didn't say Harry Potter?
no, I wouldn't have said
Oh,
that.
that would have been.
That's
yeah.
I mean that.
That
to
was
me,
Zac Efron.
To me, yeah. Zac
Zach.
Efron's so great in those movies as Dobby. I just
Oh,
love how
so-
they
Ooh, shout out to
totally.
Dobby.
I love Dobby. My mom loves Dobby too. He's just so adorable.
You're with Seth Green. So did he get you on Family Guy as well?
I think the casting director of Linda LaMontagne, shout out to her. Man, I miss her. She's so sweet. She worked in that wheelhouse, and I have to say, I don't know who was responsible for that. Whoever they were, that was awesome. But you know, it's a small world.
Yeah.
Everyone knows each other. There's a young kid who's like precocious and likes doing voices. Hey, let's throw him in an episode of this. And so, yeah, she was even kind enough. I was a big fan of the show American Dad, and I remember I got to sit in on a read through, a table read they had there, and man, she'd always stack me with the candy that they had in the pantry there. Man, people were so, this is what I'm saying is I don't remember these stories, but
But I remember
remembering
the
them
Kind of nice
candy.
to go back to that a
but
little
like
bit.
it people were so good to me, and like I
Mhm.
think in hindsight now, being the boss of my own career and trying to do music, trying to do acting, produce, write, direct, there's a lot of hats I'm wearing, and in hindsight I'm realizing that like I had it really good as a kid, not because I still don't have it good, but like it's important to take care of the people that take care of you. Like I'm even like, this is kind of for me, so take this with a grain of salt. But like, I wish I'd maintained those relationships more, not because I needed anything from them, but because like, how nice of them to like
Go out
let
of their
me.
way for you.
You always get this
You know?
advice from like older people when you're just coming up. They're always like, just enjoy the day, enjoy the ride.
Like I
But
called
you don't
Molly
really do
today.
that.
His
Yeah.
sister helped. Thanks to you, I got the show. I'm so grateful to be on the podcast with you.
Mhm.
Like you've been so kind to me, dude. Like
Yeah,
like
sorry.
genuinely, like it's horrible. I just want to
Yeah.
get rid of you.
Are you
you
looking
know?
at? I don't have my
Um,
glasses on. Are you looking at him or me?
Trust me.
Yeah. I was honestly just staring at the floor this whole time. I just
He saw my foot. Did
yeah.
you see my foot?
I was
I just
like-
had to do that one time.
I was like so many manicures, and that's what you get.
His
Blue
feet are-
toenails.
He's got blue toenails.
I have blue toenails.
I believe it.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I want to know.
Did JC put
talk
you onto
about-
that?
Yeah, no, JC totally put me onto it. But that's kind of where I wanted to go to is what's going on now? What's next for you? Where are
Mm-hmm.
you? Where are you going to focus your attention now? Are you still doing some acting, still doing some voiceover, or is it music, or is it just doing all of it and figuring out what
Well,
sticks?
here's the key. We're all artists. I'm an artist, and naturally, I am impulsive and creatively want to follow the ideas that I have. In a lot of ways, it takes time, it takes money, and it takes
Mhm.
consistency. And so I have to adapt and figure out where it makes the most sense to put my time and energy. It's hard to not just get an audition and put it on tape, but now again, like I need to be in charge of my business, need to be in charge of my finances, need to be in charge of facilitating, who's helping me with content, who's helping me plan the content, where am I putting it out? Like, what's my release strategy? This is just like music related. And then there's like, do I have an agent, an acting manager? Like, what am I going out for? Like, who am I reaching out to pitch certain ideas? So I'm rambling. The point is, I'm doing way more than I should, and not because I shouldn't be doing it, but because it's not as productive. Sometimes doing too much means not that much gets done. So here's what I do know is music. I'm going for it. I've wanted to go for it.
There you go.
And I'm excited about it.
There you go.
did my first show, 75-minute set. We did 85 minutes. It was the best-selling one they had, which was confirmation for me to go, people will show up for me. So let's make sure I get better. I put on a better show. And one thing I'm bad at is monetizing. So I didn't even think about having, like, people were like, I wish you had T-shirts. I wish you, and I was like, man, like,
Yeah,
I should
I
have thought
yelled
of
at.
that,
I
you
think
know?
I may have had a few drinks, but I was pretty
Yeah.
mad about a lot of that afterwards. But
So it's just one of these things where I'm just going, and like there's a way to also do things to, because frankly, like if I don't figure out ways to like also supplement an income, I'm kind of just like, I'm gonna go broke too, because like I'm like, I pay content creators to help me film stuff, right? And then like I'm paying for flights to fly out to gigs, and like, and then I just show up, and then I pay for rehearsal, right? So rehearsal, I paid for a sound engineer, I paid for a rehearsal space, and like before you know it, like songs cost money to make, mixers cost money, mastering costs money. I'm the one also communicating with all these people, scheduling out this time, and then before you know it, I'm like, you know, X amount of dollars in the hole, and not because I'm not happy about it, but like, you know, the idea is that like I hopefully see a return, even if I break even, that would be great. But I'm saying that like I shouldn't be having to think about this, but if I don't want to think about it, I have to hire somebody else to think about it. And then
So-
like before
and you
you
have
know
to
it,
hire somebody you trust in the
Yeah.
business. Somebody, and the
Yeah.
business is so kind of sketchy that we'll talk after this real
Let's
quick.
put your pipes to the test.
yeah.
We do a song on the show.
Oh my
It's a beautiful
gosh.
song. You're probably gonna get
Yeah.
teary-eyed. But
You're-
Chris
it's-
likes to sing a cappella.
There's some choreography to it. There's
oh, no.
There's a dance. There's a
wait, why'd you sound like it was a question?
what?
You kind of ruined it when you made it sound like a question.
God, I did it
We
again,
had,
didn't
yeah,
I?
we had it going.
wanna
And then
apologize.
you made it like we have a dance.
No, I mean no.
I was like, he was
didn't
totally
think
gonna
I-
believe there was a dance to it.
No, I
and I was gonna make something completely up.
Why
and
can't? Why do
he
we always
would've
have to
followed
fight
us.
on camera?
All right, we'll fight later.
Anyway,
Brian McFayden.
Brian McFayden.
So
I'm
yeah,
the bad boy of the Name Drop podcast.
okay.
yeah, this is
Yeah,
his,
this is my bad
his-
boy thing. But we
This is his
like kind of like
Olympic breaking look. He calls it.
Huh.
We like to call him Lazar.
I could pop and lock.
I believe it, dude.
Really? Did you see
Dang,
that?
yeah.
Yeah, for real.
B Laser.
B laser.
Yeah.
Yeah, B fades.
B fades.
fades.
DMOs. B fades.
Okay, so
it's real easy.
We have this thing.
honestly.
We have this thing where we sing our show's title.
Name
the title of our show.
drop. We can do it high this
Name
time.
drop.
Name drop. That's all it is.
That's all I do.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
all you do.
Name drop.
Oh,
It was
why
a little
does it
flat.
sound-
No, it was a little flat.
It was at the end.
Name drop.
Name drop.
Now the first one was a little sharp that time. It's name.
Oh.
No, I'm totally kidding. He's got it.
That
It's
second
just-
one was good.
it's just-
Name drop.
Dude, he'll make you feel
Name
insecure.
drop, yeah.
I've sat in here with like Grammy winners, and they make me feel really
And
bad.
he sat in here with me too,
And-
which was not a Grammy winner. Thank you for reminding me.
Moonmen and Grammys.
Appreciate it.
Uh,
Moonman, not the same thing.
On account
Like
of
a lot of those.
3. Are you
Name
gonna
drop. Yep.
do name? Oh man, this
Ready?
is gonna be a
One,
tough one.
2, 3.
Name drop.
It was good. It was
Nice.
good. That was good.
I'm
I
waiting
like
for, waiting,
that.
waiting
That's
for him to say no.
I like
That was,
that.
that was good.
Yeah,
Alright.
it's doable.
Yeah.
It was doable. Thanks, brother.
Yeah.
You're the best.
Zach, you're awesome, man.
Name drop.